In the high-stakes lead-up to the US Open, the ATP Tour has been thrown a curveball. Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and Carlos Alcaraz, three of the sport's most prominent figures and perennial hard-court threats, withdrew from the 2025 Canadian Open. While withdrawals from Masters 1000 events are not entirely uncommon, the timing, reasoning, and surrounding circumstances of these particular absences have generated considerable conversation within the tennis world. Tournament director Karl Hale openly admitted that he was disappointed by the decision of the trio to miss the event. Speaking with Mundo Deportivo, Hale expressed his concerns while maintaining that the tournament's stature and popularity remain intact. Despite the missing stars, ticket sales were completed before the match schedule was released, and attendance is still quite healthy. Still, the timing of these high-profile withdrawals has cast a shadow over what was meant to be a landmark edition of the tournament. This is not merely a matter of rest or load management. It speaks to deeper dynamics at play, from physical fragility and strategic prioritization to reputational baggage and looming pressure. As the Canadian Open loses three of its marquee names, a door has been opened for an unpredictable, yet potentially career-defining shakeup among the chasing pack. Let's begin with Novak Djokovic. The 24-time Grand Slam champion, now 38 years old, has already been selective with his schedule in 2025. After an emotionally and physically taxing season and a disappointing Wimbledon exit at the hands of Sinner, Djokovic has made no secret of the fact that his priorities are now purely aligned with extending his Grand Slam tally and preserving his body for peak performance at the majors. His withdrawal from Canada is not due to any publicly reported injury, even though he obviously struggled with one during Wimbledon, but this time it seems like a calculated move in a longer-term strategy. Djokovic's team has emphasized the importance of managing the wear and tear that naturally accumulates after nearly 2 decades on tour. Still, this choice is not without risk. Skipping a key hardcourt tune-up may leave him undercooked heading into the US Open, particularly if the draw places him against a dangerous floater early on. Yet, if history has taught us anything, it is that Djokovic has defied physical expectations repeatedly. Even when counted out due to age, injury, or inactivity, he has often returned sharper than ever. The question now is whether this formula can still deliver as the margins tighten and new contenders emerge with increasing confidence. Then there's Carlos Alcaraz. Just 22 years old, the Spaniard is already a 2-time Grand Slam champion and widely seen as the sport's future standard bearer. His explosive athleticism, creative shot-making, and mental maturity have drawn comparisons to the Big Three, particularly Rafael Nadal. Yet, as he matures, so too do the demands of a relentless calendar. Alcaraz has been managing a minor muscular issue, specifically a recurring discomfort in his right forearm. While his team has insisted the withdrawal is precautionary, it reflects a growing trend in the Alcaraz camp to prioritize long-term health over short-term gains. In this way, he is not like Nadal, who was hyper-competitive in the early years of and often played through injuries to his own long-term detriment. If Alcaraz is learning from that history, it may bode well for the longevity of his career. However, questions still linger about his ability to stay healthy across long stretches of the season, especially during the punishing North American summer swing. While fans will undoubtedly miss his energy and artistry in Canada, his absence offers clarity. The US Open remains the ultimate target. But perhaps the most compelling and controversial withdrawal of all is that of Jannik Sinner. The 23-year-old Italian, long regarded as one of the sport's most disciplined and technically refined players, has found himself at the center of an ongoing storm. His withdrawal from Canada has been attributed to his elbow injury, but the real story lies off the court. Just months ago, Sinner was handed a 3-month suspension for a doping violation stemming from the use of a clostebol-based anti-inflammatory spray provided by his then-fitness coach, Umberto Ferrara. The suspension, while relatively short due to the determination that the violation was unintentional, cast a shadow over what had been a breakout season. In an unexpected and controversial move, Sinner recently announced that he had reappointed Ferrara to his coaching team just ahead of the US Open. The decision sent shockwaves through the tennis world, with many questioning the optics and ethical implications. Why bring back the individual most closely linked to your doping suspension, especially so soon after returning to competition? Sinner's camp defended the move as a matter of trust and professional chemistry, noting that Ferrara had been instrumental in building the physical foundation that led to his 2024 success. Yet the public remains divided. Some see it as a tone-deaf move that undermines the sport's integrity, while others view it as a sign of Sinner's fierce loyalty and determination to control his own destiny, regardless of public perception. The irony is unmistakable. Just as he looks to reclaim his momentum on the court, he's invited controversy back into his camp off-it. These 3 withdrawals have had a profound impact on the Canadian Open's complexion. Without Djokovic, Alcaraz, or Sinner, the draw has been blown wide open, but in this vacuum lies opportunity. Opportunity not only to lift a Masters 1000 trophy, but to plant a flag ahead of the year's final slam. For players like Holger Rune, the stakes have never been higher. Rune's talent is undeniable. His aggressive baseline play, powerful backhand, and mental fortitude have drawn praise from veterans and pundits alike. But 2025 has been a season marked by inconsistency. A strong showing in Canada could have helped him re-establish his credentials as a real threat on hard courts and give him the confidence boost needed to contend in New York. But Rune failed to use his momentum as he went out of the Canadian Open, losing to Popyrin. Casper Ruud too would have been eyeing this tournament as a chance to expand his reputation beyond clay. While he's reached multiple Grand Slam finals, including one on hard court, he's still seen by many as a surface specialist. A deep run in Toronto could have helped rewrite that narrative, but he too crashed out of Toronto, losing to Kachanov. And then there's Alexander Zverev, who may be the most intriguing figure in this newly open landscape. Zverev seems to have found both physical stability and mental focus. He's reached the semifinals or better in several key tournaments this year, including a gritty performance at Roland Garros and a final appearance in Miami. Most notably, his serve has become one of the most reliable weapons on tour again, and his once shaky second serve has stabilized under pressure. His forehand, long seen as a relative weakness, has also improved, particularly when he's moving forward and dictating play. Beyond the technical improvements, Zverev's body language and on-court demeanor have changed. There's less visible frustration and more quiet resolve. He has slowly but surely overcome his mental struggles, started working with Tony Nadal, and he seems like he is enjoying his tennis at the moment. With the Canadian Open missing its brightest stars, Zverev now finds himself in a rare position. He is both a favorite and a hunter. The pressure is on, but so is the opportunity. If he can claim the title or at least make a deep run, he will not only add valuable points and momentum, but he'll also enter the US Open as a legitimate title contender, something that has eluded him despite years of hype. This could be his chance to finally capture the narrative and fulfill the potential that's followed him since his teenage years. He has had a great tournament so far and faces Popyrin in the quarterfinal. The withdrawals of Novak Djokovic, Jannik Sinner, and Carlos Alcaraz from the 2025 Canadian Open highlight a broader shift in men's tennis. The generational transition is no longer looming. It has fully arrived. Djokovic, the last standing member of the Big Three, is still capable of brilliance, but now approaches the calendar with caution, selectively targeting the Grand Slams. What's more surprising is that Sinner and Alcaraz, viewed as the heirs to this legacy, seem to be adopting a similar approach much earlier in their careers. This development prompts difficult questions. Are these young stars simply being prudent, managing their bodies for the long haul in an era shaped by sports science and data-driven decision-making? Or are we seeing the early signs that the physical toll of today's baseline-dominant, ultra-athletic game may not allow for the relentless, year-round dominance the Big Three once achieved? Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic built their legacies not only through their talent, but through their tireless presence. Their commitment to showing up tournament after tournament, especially in their 20s, helped define an era. With Sinner and Alcaraz already skipping significant events, that model may be fading. What emerges then is a different kind of elite player, one perhaps more calculated, more strategic, and maybe more fragile. If this becomes the new normal, the ATP Tour will need to adjust. Fewer marquee matchups outside of the Grand Slams may fragment the narrative of the season and leave fans longing for the consistent rivalries and week-to-week storylines that once defined the sport.